Let's dive right into the massive generational stakes of artificial intelligence. We're looking at this specifically through the lens of Australia's current political and economic landscape. Right now, the nation is facing a totally pivotal choice. Will it step up and actually lead this technological revolution, or are we going to repeat history and watch vital, cutting-edge industries just pack up and leave? The choices being made right this second are literally going to shape the economy for decades to come.
In this explainer, we're going to impartially unpack this highly charged debate. We'll be running through the AI crossroads, opportunity versus bureaucracy, the productivity problem, the union veto debate, and finally, the future of work. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The AI crossroads, Australia's defining choice. So observers and critics alike are calling this a critical junction for the national economy. We're standing at the precipice of an AI boom that's widely considered the biggest single economic opportunity of our generation. And, it really all boils down to one fundamental question. Do we build it or buy it? Historically, Australia has watched major industries like manufacturing and semiconductors just leave its shores. The country became an absolute expert at buying innovation from somewhere else rather than building it domestically. So the debate right now is whether artificial intelligence is going to suffer that exact same fate, or if this time the nation will actually be the one constructing the future. Section 2. Opportunity versus bureaucracy, analyzing the Prime Minister's AI policy. This recent political conflict really ignited after the Prime Minister delivered a highly anticipated speech on AI. But man, the reaction was sharply divided. Liberal Deputy Leader Jane Hume offered a very pointed critique, arguing that the speech pretty much completely missed the mark. From the opposition's perspective, for all the hype leading up to the event, it just ended up being a process speech. Critics are arguing that the focus was heavily skewed toward government bureaucracy rather than outlining a bold, exciting vision for how the nation actually wins the global AI race. To break that down a bit more, critics were really wanting a conversation about lowering barriers to entry, driving true innovation, aggressively upskilling the workforce, and lowering energy prices to actually fuel this tech. But instead, they claim the government-delivered talk centered around infrastructure, data centers, rules, regulations, and expanding Canberra bureaucracy. It really highlights a stark contrast in priorities, right? It's the unbridled ambition required to become a global leader versus a heavy focus on cautious regulatory frameworks. Section 3. The productivity problem, the economic stakes. 1 decade. That's a full 10 years. And that is exactly how long national productivity has essentially been going backwards. Australia has a severe productivity problem, and this represents a massive economic headwind that isn't just political theater, it's a very real issue. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter to the average person? Well, it's an equation we simply can't ignore. Stalled productivity equals stalled wages, sluggish economic growth, and ultimately a lower standard of living for everyone. Productivity isn't just some abstract economic jargon. It's quite literally the engine that drives national prosperity. And this is exactly why the opposition stresses the absolutely critical nature of this moment. AI isn't just a niche tool for a couple of tech companies. It's a general-purpose technology. It's going to embed itself across the private sector, across the entire economy, across the whole nation. It's viewed by many as the vital lifeline necessary for boosting efficiency and finally snapping that decade-long productivity slump. Section 4. The union veto debate, labor, regulation, and the workplace. Okay, the controversy deepens significantly when we start looking at actual workplace regulation. The opposition is sounding a massive alarm over recent discussions from the ACTU, the Australian Council of Trade Unions. There's been talk regarding the idea of giving unions an unprecedented veto power over how private sector organizations adopt AI technology. Now, this is a highly complex issue even within the governing Labour Party, because while some union voices are championing the idea, government figures like Amanda Rishworth have publicly rejected that this is going to happen. Regardless of where it lands, it has sparked a major internal conversation ahead of the party's national conference. Critics use a highly memorable and honestly pretty striking analogy to illustrate their concern here. They compare the idea of a union veto on AI adoption to unions stepping in decades ago to ban the adoption of email. Why? Simply because email might put the people working in the corporate mailroom out of business. It's a powerful comparison that really makes you question whether you can or even should try to hold back the tide of efficiency just out of a fear of disruption. But on the flip side, defending the government's stance, we have Assistant Technology Minister Andrew Charlton. He's played down some of the more extreme predictions surrounding AI, like the immediate dawn of a 4-day work week, for instance.
Instead, he points to a much more measured, careful approach, insisting that as artificial intelligence comes in, it absolutely has to be managed in a way that directly benefits rather than harms Australian workers.
Section 5. The Future of Work, Historical Context. Stepping back from today's immediate political friction for a second, it really helps to look at the broader historical progression. Think about it. From the steam engine in the 1700s, to electricity in the 1800s, to the explosion of the internet in the 1990s. Every single major leap in global prosperity throughout history has come from people finding better, more efficient ways to work. The argument presented by the sources is that artificial intelligence isn't some crazy anomaly. It's simply the next monumental leap in that exact same historical timeline.
The overarching consensus of this whole debate is pretty clear. Yes, technology always changes jobs. That is an undeniable fact. But history also proves time and time again that it creates entirely new ones. The prevailing thought is that the answer isn't to fear innovation or try to block it at the door, but rather to eagerly and aggressively prepare the workforce for the new roles that will inevitably be created in an AI-driven global economy. As Australia navigates this profound crossroads between cautious, protective bureaucracy and rapid, ambitious innovation, we want to leave you with this final, critical question that sits right at the very heart of the debate. Should we regulate the future before we've even had the chance to create it? It's a question that's for sure going to define the next era of economic prosperity. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I encourage you to keep questioning and keep learning.